This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And
want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Is that a comedian? No, that was
a text line.
Still felt like it was worth laughing. The Holla Hotline. Get it? Holla Hotline. Okay. Hey, hour number 2 underway with 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. Trend or mirage?
This has to do with Royce, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Royce Lewis had 2 home runs as the Twins avoided being swept by the Colorado Rockies, winning 7-1 yesterday. It was just Lewis's 3rd and 4th homers of the season. Common was Royce Lewis's power yesterday,
Trend or mirage?
I'll answer the question. I want to dive a little deeper into Royce Lewis before this show is over sometime next hour, maybe in the final hour of the Grom No Rose, and he won't be back from his wilderness vacation until tomorrow. But because of his, look, he was the number 1 ranked prospect in all of baseball for the longest time when he has been healthy for the most part. I mean, I know he's had the 2 slumps this year, but how many years has this been now? Is this his 3rd or 4th year? Previously, he's had some great stretches where you watched him play and the way he hit the ball with the authority he did and how well he played, that you would say, I mean, who couldn't look at him and go, this guy's really, really good?
His 4th season.
During those first 3 seasons, there were stretches where you guys, I can see why this guy was so highly regarded, because he is absolutely a ball player. As a matter of fact, so good that Lavelle Neal III, when I asked him if I could guarantee you, I know you can't do it, but if I could guarantee you a World Series victory, but you would have to give up Royce Lewis, would you do it? He said no. So I think it will be a trend. I do. It remains to be seen. Call me a ducky and a bunny, but I think if it was a lot of other players, I'd go, no, I don't think so. You know, I mean, it remains to be seen. I'd probably say a mirage, but because of his pedigree, I'm kind of thinking maybe he is the guy.
Follow-up question.
The Twins begin a 3-game series tonight in Los Angeles as they face the Dodgers. Tonight's pitching matchup is David Festa versus Shohei Ohtani. It is a 9:10 p.m. start here in Central Time. Common, will the Twins versus Ohtani get you to stay up late tonight and watch?
No, but I will be curious to see the outcome. I mean, look, they had trouble against the Rockies. I mean, they lost 2 or 3 to the worst team in baseball. The Dodgers are a couple of pay grades, literally and figuratively above that. That's a really
We're just
good
trying
team.
to avoid getting swept in this series.
Well, that's what you would think, but stranger thing, it is baseball. Ton of anything can happen. But you almost wish that Ryan would. I mean, Ryan stopped by getting swept. It was all Joe Ryan, the reason we didn't get swept by the Rockies. But you'd sure like to
have him for this series.
I think you'd like to have him for this Dodger series, but that's not going to be the case. But I don't particularly like their chances. I don't know, are they 4 or 5 games out of a playoff spot? 4 games, I think, out. So they've got some work to do. But we'll see what I really.
5 out of a wild card spot. Cleveland's now passed them in the Central.
Yeah, so it's
you can't lose 2 out of 3 to Colorado and
I would agree
make the playoffs.
I would agree with you.
Question number 2. It's time now for multiple choice.
Common, which headline at ESPN.com would you most likely click on? A, NFLPA's Treader to resign amid union overhaul. B, Trump aims at stadium over Commander's name. C, Titans Levis to have surgery, miss 2025 season. D, Bradley says Bryson will make Ryder Cup team. E, AAC launches rebrand as American Conference. Or F, Nepal-led Hornets win first Summer League title.
What was that last one?
I think it's Nepal. Nepal?
We sure it's not Nepal?
Nepal.
I'd do the last one just to figure out what the hell you're talking about. What is that now? What was it? Do you know?
Nepal-led Hornets win first summer league title. So the Hornets won their first summer league title.
Oh, it's the player. I thought it was a country. We were talking maybe soccer. You know what the story I'd like to click on? I think it was Trump related. He was musing about why do we call soccer, why we don't call it football. And then, he was going to do some executive order to change it.
Can he change that?
I don't know. I think you would think.
I agree with him on that.
Yeah, you would think it. No. Here's the way I think about it. We should go call soccer football, but then we should call football soccer. So our version of football should be called soccer, right?
That's fine with me.
So let's change because you're right. Because the National Football League, football, the foot only comes into play on a place kick, a kickoff, and a punt.
Yeah,
it's really not even football. It's throwing the ball and catching the ball and running the ball. It has nothing to do with football. So I would change it so that we would be the National Soccer League, and that's what football would be called. But I don't think they're going to do it.
Who made the decision to name it soccer? Who started this?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Because I'm assuming football/soccer was around before actual American football.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So it wasn't as if American football was here and then soccer was invented and go, well, we got to name it soccer because we already have a name for the sport of football.
Sounds like you're anti-American.
No, I'm agreeing with Trump on this one. Soccer should be called football.
Oh.
And football should come up with a new name.
Soccer.
Tutty ball.
Tutty ball might be all right, too.
Tutty ball.
Question number 3. Vision for the division.
All right, Con, we've already gone through the AFC. Now it's time to go to the NFC. We'll begin out east. You got the Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Commanders for now. That's their name for now. The New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Who will win the NFC East?
Well, I think the easy pick is a Philadelphia repeat. I like Washington. I think it does come down to those two teams. I don't expect the Giants to do any miraculous turnaround in this short period of time. I'm just not sold on Dallas. They haven't done anything in years. I don't know why they'd start now. And I would rather see Washington. I'm tired of Philadelphia. It's like being tired of Scheffler winning all the time. I don't care that he wins, but I'd like to see it. Come on, let's get some competitiveness here. I'd like to see Washington. I'd like is it Jaden Daniels? Is that the kid's name? I like him. I like that club. I would, and I'm going to say that Washington is going to win the division. Your thoughts?
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
Well, it's hard not to like Washington. Just as a Vikings fans, I think we've all just come to hate the Eagles, and I hate the tush push. How people are annoyed with Scotty Scheffler now, that's me watching the tush push every time because nobody can stop it. Typically you see a little big game hangover from teams. So I can see Philadelphia dropping back a little bit. The Giants, I don't know what they're going to get out of their quarterback position. But at least now they have potentially 3 options. So if one option doesn't work, they still might be able to salvage it. But at least Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and or Jackson Dart should be an upgrade over what they had last year. And they do, they've got they're all right on the defensive side of the ball, at least on the defensive line.
So if you're the Giants play-by-play guy,
yeah,
you've been you're thinking, you have your PAs as always, touchdown. He just trails it
drags
it out. I would believe if you're the Giants guy and with Jackson Dart, is it Jackson?
Yeah.
When he throws a touchdown pass, you just go bullseye, right? Bullseye. Brilliant. That's what I do.
Oh, that'd be great.
Bullseye. That's what he'll do. That's all I had to say.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
I got some controversial Vikings news and more still to come here in what's left of the Common Man program. Right now, though, Tennebee's got a keyword for you. Give yourself a chance to win some dough.
Yeah, the Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword GRAND at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. The keyword is GRAND. Enter now at KFAN.com. America's mystery cards are back, and we are bringing them to you all summer long. Come grab yours at KFAN events throughout the summer and wherever you see our KFAN street team. Then make sure to redeem them at Mall of America for fun prizes and big discounts. See full list of events at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common. He is Tennessee, the legendary Mark Rosen. After his, he's out in the wilderness somewhere. He will return tomorrow, right about 2 o'clock or so. I was, the hell was I going to talk about?
How Rosen should be on the TV show Survivor, the reality show.
Now that's, I hadn't thought about that. That's good. No, there was something I wanted to talk about, but I forgot what it was. Well, I'll go with this. Here in Twins territory, this does happen frequently. I'm actually kind of praise the Twins a little bit. I'm going to take a backhanded compliment, or however you want to describe this. Generally, as we get to this point of the season, after the All-Star break, and then start approaching the dog days of summer and Major League Baseball's trade deadline, we're always discussing whether the Twins will be buyers or sellers.
Yeah.
And the reason is because, generally speaking, the Twins oftentimes are in a situation where they have a real good chance to make the playoffs. And I think most of the time it's been because it's been a really bad division, right? It seems like every year of the 5 teams in the division, Twins, Royals, Guardians, Tigers, and the Chi Sox, 3 of them are usually terrible, just awful, right? Bottom feeders. Sometimes it's even 4, but usually it's just got to beat one team is all you got to do. And you're going to win the division. Last year it was different. And last year the Twins, at this time last year, the Twins were in firm control of first place in the AL Central with the Royals, Tigers, and Guardians trailing. And we all know what happened. The script got flipped, as the kids like to say, Tennessee, and Twins went into that dramatic tailspin. As a matter of fact, I think if I remember the stat correctly, in the second half of the season, they had the 3rd worst record in Major League Baseball. That's how bad it was. It was something like 12-34, I think they went, and they dropped not only out of first place, but out of wild card contention, and did make postseason play. While the other 3 aforementioned teams, Tigers, Royals, and Guardians, all made it. Twins are in a situation now where they're not in first. The Tigers are in the situation the Twins were last year. Now, they snapped their losing streak yesterday. I think they've won 4 of their past 10 now. They beat Houston last night, and that's a quality win. Houston's a good club. I think they might be a first or second place team. But, you know, and there's that discussion now. And after those, I've seen some people say, well, you know, after those 2 losses to the Rockies, there should be no reason for the Twins to even consider. Oftentimes players will complain, right? Remember when Santana had that famous quote, and I'm paraphrasing it, I bring it up often. It was a year in which we were right there. Moon, you know, there were the players in the team certainly thought that the moon was in the 7th house, and Jupiter had aligned with Mars. It was the age of Aquarius, and Twins were sellers instead of buyers. And Santana said something like, you know, we like to sell more than buy. Maybe some of us won't be around here much longer. That kind of thing. And he did end up leaving. I saw a quote in today's Fish Wrap where, and I don't know if it was Jeffers, and if it wasn't, I apologize. I'll look up the name here. But talking about, well, if we trade some guys, that doesn't mean we still can't. We're still not going to, you know, give it the old college try and try to get it, which was a different quote than we see a lot of times. Because anytime buying or selling comes up, what did the players on the team always say? Oh, we should be buying because we're really good. We're going to make a run here. And he was kind of saying, well, even if we sell, I was almost like he was just being realistic about it. That He knows what this franchise does. This franchise has rare, and when they have been buyers, the name that always comes up is Shannon Stewart. It was 15 years, 20 years ago, whatever it was.
20, more than 20.
20 years ago where Shannon Stewart, and he was a quality player. And I was like, hey, that's nice. It's a nice addition. I don't know how much he really added to the team. I could barely.
He was a quality player, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what he added that year. I mean, once we got him, I don't know if he helped springboard us to greater things. But yeah, he was a quality.
I think they did. I think that was the year that the AJ Brzezinski quote came from, because they went on a run at the end of the year.
When he said that I doubted him.
Shannon was the leadoff.
Well, that was me.
Say a whole lot of character. I just want to say you doubted us, but now we're here.
So yeah, I was the inspiration for that club. You know, a lot of people will say they inspire teams, motivate them. I'm the only talk show host that has proof. There it is, right there. But and again, if you're with the team, I know you would like the team, the organization to go out and get some help. But I don't think you can speak too loudly about that with the way the team has played this year. You know, you just haven't. You had that 13. If it wasn't for that 13-game winning streak, you would be challenging the Rockies right now. I think for maybe not quite that bad, but you get my drift. Losing those first. You were. I was
just going to say the year Shannon Stewart came over, 2003, played 65 games for the Twins, hit .322.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a case in which they actually went out and other than that, I can't think of many times where they've went out. Not that the players they thought those players would help them, but they didn't, and they didn't really go out and get any. They never go out and get a big name. It's not like all of a sudden let's say you want to solidify the starting rotation. Now we are going to get Lopez back, which tend to be when you think about it, it's just like a trade. Because we've been without him for so long, right? But, it would be like Lopez comes back and let's say the Twins, and I don't have a name for you, but let's say the number 2 starter on another team that's fading, they're out, they want to unload some salary. So all of a sudden there's a number 2 starter just sitting there and you can trade for him. You got to give up some prospects, I get that. But this organization just never, they never do that. And now with the team on up for sale, you and I have discussed this. If you're the Twins, what do you do? If you're trying to sell the team, do you want to keep the team? It's like anytime you buy something, it's like as is, right? Something that's used, you sell it and it's sold for as is with no what's a warranty with it, right? It's just you're buying it as is. Do the Twins just keep the team as is, or do they say, well, as long as we're here and this might be our last year owning it, let's make a little bit of a run? That being said, as much as I think the team, the players on the team, and fans would like to, we've always clamored for the team to make a move. I just don't know if it makes any difference this year. I really don't. Now maybe if Lewis continues to play like he did yesterday. Correa's been fits and starts. He certainly hasn't been the Carlos Correa that we're paying for as far as offensively. Joe Ryan's brilliant. Ober, who knows? He'll come back from this hip thing. David Festa, again, I remember when the season started, we were talking about how deep and talented the rotation was, or the Poulette pocket protectors were. And it was Zebby Matthews and David Festus who we were going to count on. And I don't know. I mean, I think Matthews has been okay his last few times out, and so is Simeon Woods Richardson. But Festa, and again, first start after coming back from being injured, but he was awful the other night. He just got clobbered by the Rockies. So again, if they want to make a move, great, and I would endorse it if they went out and got a quality player at the trade deadline, a player or two. I'm all in, but I don't know what a difference it makes. Detroit's strong. The whole, Yankees, Jays, Red Sox, Rays, that whole East they seem to be stacked. That seems to be the strongest division in the American League this year. And so,
remember when the AL Central was like that at one point this year?
Yeah, absolutely. And even last year, they had 3 teams that made postseason play. We were the ones that did with the collapse that I just was talking about. So, yeah, I'm all for making moves, but I wonder if it would be only. If it'd be for naught.
They're not going to buy.
Yeah. And I don't think they are, but I'm just saying, even if they did, I guess the whole. Well,
I guess you could buy if it wasn't just like a short-term fix, right? Like if it's someone you're going to have on your team for the next year or two.
Right. And I guess the whole gist of this rambling dissertation I just had just to kill a segment, really, because I don't really care. But was just to say, I don't think it makes a difference if they do. I don't think they have enough talent. It just doesn't seem like they're cohesive enough and they're not getting contributions, from different players every game. Everybody's contributed. It just seems like they got Byron Buxton, and I guess the Clemens guy's been good, and Bader and France have had their moments, but I just don't see anything here that...
Can I go Paul Allen on this?
If you'd like to, go ahead.
Byron Buxton's having a great year, right? Also, what if this last weekend was the weekend where Royce Lewis turned on the switch and figured it out? Because we've seen past Royce Lewis, and we've only seen it for small stretches because of all his injury issues. But he could carry a club offensively. He has in the past. What if all of a sudden he just completely flips a switch and you get the Royce Lewis we're accomed to?
Well,
and then Pablo Lopez comes back.
You've just set up my tease for the next segment well done. I appreciate that. For the next segment about Royce Lewis, I want to dive deep into Royce Lewis territory. We'll do that next. Common Man program on the Fan.
Thanks to friends at Unreal, you can restock your wardrobe with Unreal golf apparel this year, just like Common. Registered and went up to $1,000 in Unreal golf apparel on our contest page. One lucky winner will restock their closet with amazing golf apparel thanks to Unreal. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter today.
I was wearing Unreal apparel today when I played golf. I hit a lot of knockdown, punch, cut, fade draws. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line, the Holla Hotline.
What was so unreal about your apparel?
Yeah, well, it was just, I wanted to leave a legacy is what I wanted to do. Bradshaw and Brian, Holla Hotline, KFAN text line 64686 is beginning to blow up. Let's go ahead and riff on some of these. First of all, two different emailers pointed out to be, and again, I'll have to take their word for it because I don't remember. In 87, the Twins went out and got Reardon and Don Baylor. Those were really good acquisitions. Both of those players were instrumental in helping the Twins win a World Series. And in 91, it was Aguilera and...
Was it Chili Davis?
And Chili Davis.
Yeah, it was our four-hitter.
Again...
Or five-hitter.
Those were two occasions that the Twins went and acquired talent by the trade deadline, reinforcements, and it worked. They won a couple of World Series. Isn't that funny how that works? So when you are serious about the trade deadline and serious about contending, and that was back when Carl owned the team, because I think Carl and Eloise, they not only, I mean, it was a great investment for them, but I think they also enjoyed the game of baseball. I think they really did. I don't know how much of any of the heirs to the Pohlad fortune have ever really cared that much about it. I'm not saying they don't care at all, but they don't seem to have the real vim and the vigor and the determination to try to win a title. A couple of other people. This one says, Common, you're forgetting last year we got that one guy who got benched. Who was the guy that we got? Remember, we did acquire somebody. He ended up being just dreadful that we couldn't even play him. And I think it was a pitcher. We couldn't even play him.
It was a reliever, wasn't it?
I think it was a reliever.
Yeah.
And we couldn't even use him because
he had a couple outings.
He had a couple outings. He was so bad. It was like, well, okay. And I think they either sent him to the minors or outright released him. So that's how bad last year's trade deadline acquisition was. This one says, there is no chance the Twins
will... Was it Trevor Richards?
I think that's exactly who it was. This says, there is no chance the Twins will acquire anyone. Jax will be a Dodger, Duran will be a Yankee, and Colon will be an Astro in the next couple of weeks. There's a distinct possibility because you're either, generally speaking, at the trade deadline, you're either a buyer or a seller. And when you're in the cellar, you sell, right? And that's where the Twins could find themselves. Now, trade deadline is when? Is that like August 30th? I don't remember exactly when the trade deadline is. But things can change. Now, if the Twins, let's say, get this thing turned around right now, Do I believe that they will become not only buyers?
It's in 10 days.
Oh, it's in 10 days.
July 31st.
Oh, July 31st. Right.
They used to have like the 2 trade deadlines, if you recall, like the one you needed like waivers to get through.
Okay. I don't think things will change dramatically. Well, how many games do they have in the next 10 days? 8, 9?
Sure.
I suppose if they swept the Dodgers or won 2 or 3 and then, played that it's possible ownership, because I don't know how much Joe has to say. I know he is the face of the front office. Joe Polat apparently is making the day-to-day decisions. I get the feeling Jim's still making a lot of the decisions. I would bet you Joe has to run most things past Jim if they're big decisions, right? And the reason I think Joe wouldn't mind trying to do something, because he does seem interested. Of all the guys there, he's the one that says, yeah, if we sell, I'd still like to run the team, which I don't think is going to happen. But he at least seems like he has some interest in the club. He likes playing Major League Baseball general manager. Maybe he would want to make a trade, but I don't know if that gets signed off on. I think before that he'd have to consult with Jim, and then Jim would probably say that's not how we operate here. But I don't know. But I wouldn't expect the Twins to do anything soon. This one says Lewis catch fire and turn it on. Anything's possible. I suppose I could get struck by lightning 7 or 8 times this week and win the Powerball too. This one says, we only got Baylor at the trade deadline. The other 3 were acquired in the offseason, Davis, Aguilera, and Reardon. So there you go. They weren't trade deadline acquisitions. So they don't. So you know what? For those of you extolling the virtues and talking about how great the Twins were making trade deadline moves, that's why they won World Series like I was doing. I guess that wasn't the case. Here's one that says, Royce Lewis reminded me of Miggy Sano. Sano tore the cover off the ball his first half season, showing patience at the plate in major power. So much so, Tenna wanted to give him an $80 million contract extension. Lewis hasn't proven he can be great for more than a few months, which I guess is true.
Yeah.
But Lewis at least seems to have a bit more the diamond cred. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Royce Lewis. You mentioned, you looked it up for us. His 4th year with the big league club. He was the top prospect in all of Major League Baseball. Minor leagues, I think, is the way they worked that. And LaBelle said, I wouldn't trade him for 2 Rod Carews. And, well, he didn't say that, but he basically said, I wouldn't trade him even if you could guarantee me a World Series victory. And I mean, he had that, I don't remember the exact stat, but didn't he have like 4 grand slams and 3 at-bats? I mean, that's really hard to do. I mean, he was tearing the cover off the ball, and he was hitting for power, and you looked at him and said, well, this guy's for real. This guy is going to be a cornerstone of the franchise, unless he leaves because we can't afford him, for 10, 12, 15 years. And then we know what happened. He's had a number of injuries. He's been very Byron Buxton-like in that regard. And then he had the 2 major slumps. They listed, the Twins have a list where they keep track of every stat. Longest hitless streaks in team history. And like of the top 30, I think he's got 2 of them. One is like 0 for 30 and the other one is like 0 for 40 or something. So he's had 2 long stretches in where he can't hit the ball. However, yesterday tended to be not 1 but 2 home runs. The Royce Lewis of all. I guess that's the first time. Did I see that? Homer twice for the first time in his career in a regular season game. It's the first time in a regular season game he's homered 2 times. Lewis, I'm reading from Fish Wrap Factory West Side. I think Phil Miller wrote this piece. Let me see. Yeah, it's Phil Miller. And it says, Lewis jumped on a middle of the plate slider from Colorado left-hander Ryan Rollison in the 4th, rocketing the ball 451 feet to left center field, the longest home run in the third baseman's career. 4 innings later, he saw another hit-me slider, this one from right-hander Jimmy Herget, and Lewis deposited it into the seats in left field, only his 4th home run of the season. Next paragraph says, the big day couldn't have come at a better time for Lewis, who acknowledged Saturday that his difficulties in recapturing his pre-injury form of 2023 had begun to affect him mentally. So that was the day before that was Sunday, yesterday, the 2 home runs. The day before he opened up to Phil Miller or whoever wrote the piece that I'm starting now this hitless streak or this slump, not completely hitless, but this slump is starting to affect him mentally. So here's what he said after yesterday's game. I felt athletic. I just kind of went up there and threw some approaches out the window and just played the game like I was in Little League. See ball, hit ball, have fun doing it. And you look at that statement, to me, of everything in that story, Baldelli also listed all the wonderful things the team did as a whole, and as well as Joe Ryan pitched and all that. To me, those quotes are the most important because I know it's we talk about athletes in all sports. They're just playing a kid's game. And that's what they really are. And then the thing is it's big business now. Those kids' games, back in the olden days, it wasn't big business. Baseball, you played your 9 months out of the year, and then you went and got a job at a meat packing plant. Baseball didn't pay any money. Well, now we know where it's gone. So but it's still a little kid's game. That's what these are. These are kids' games. And sometimes I think you just have to just throw out I think some of that might be he doesn't mention that in here, but I think there's a lot of sabermetrics and analytics that go along with this. So he's just trying to get a swing back, and they're saying, okay, we're facing Joe Bag of Donuts today. Now, Joe Bag of Donuts likes working with the slider, the slurve, and this. And those are important things, right, to know what a pitcher's strengths and weaknesses are. I'm not saying they're not. And I'm not saying, that they shade you this way or that way, or they do this or they do that, depending upon the situation. But sometimes just go up there and just swing at the ball and not try to swing for the fences. I think that was part of Buxton's problem for the last couple of years. I think Buxton's problem was he was always trying to hit a home run because that's what this franchise wants to do. They said it again after the playoffs. That's what they were teaching 2 years ago. That's exactly right. 2 years after they got bounced in the playoffs, they said, we're still going to do the same thing. We're going to throw it as hard as we can and swing as hard as we can because the sabermetrics and analytics tell them that's the way to play baseball nowadays. And so Lewis here, now maybe he was swinging as hard as he could because he hit 2 home runs, but just treating it like just see the ball, just flush everything else out of your mind, because I'm assuming a lot of what he was saying, because he says, I just kind of went up there and threw some approaches out the window. I'm sure they're breaking down film and they're looking at your elbow's a little high in the back, or your footwork isn't quite right, or and you need to twist the bug, squish the bug with the back foot is what we call it. Okay, yeah, squish the bug, right? Yeah, and all of that might be true, but sometimes you get over analytical. I'm going to use myself as an example. I don't like to talk about myself. You know that, right? But I'm going to make an exception here for the topic. I'm an okay player, and I've had stretches where I'm a slightly better than okay player. And then I have stretches like I've had the last 8-10 weeks where I'm terrible. I'm awful. I'm 10 to be in it, right? I can't. I'm having trouble. And it's the same stupid mistake, thinking about so much. Okay, make a big turn, set your wrist, stay behind the ball, look at it, finish with your right hand over your left shoulder. Thinking about so many different things and trying to fix it, and it's not working. And then you start thinking more about it, and you get more frustrated. Then you start swinging harder. And instead of, like today, I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to take an easy swing at it and just let it go wherever it goes. The only thing I did think about was stay back at the ball instead of leaning into it. I hit a lot of nice shots today. And so it sounds like he's taking a similar approach. So I'm a lot like Royce Lewis is what I'm saying. Well, he had a big slump, and so did I, right? He had 2 terrible slumps. I've had 2 terrible slumps this year. Sometimes you just have to simplify things, and it sounds like that's what he's doing there. And when you asked in 5-3-4, trend or mirage, the reason I believe I'm going to go with trend is because now, it hasn't been for a long period of time because of the injuries, but he has a proven track record. He was a top prospect in baseball, and we saw him for a while early on where he was carrying the team on his back the last 2-3
during the playoffs.
Yes, during the playoffs especially. He was spectacular.
He received comparisons to Kirby Puckett with his playoff performance.
That is exactly right. And so because of that, I'm going to give him, for now, the benefit of the doubt and say maybe this, and it is just one game. It could be tonight against the Dodgers. He could go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Did you see where over the weekend, I think it was Saturday, it was Friday or Saturday, he was lifted for pinch hitter. And it's I saw that. And it said something like the second or third time that's ever happened. The other ones, I don't even know why, but it just doesn't happen. I mean, think about Royce Lewis being lifted for a pinch hitter.
Yeah.
You would have never thought of that a couple of 3 years ago, and so he could return to that immediately today. Is Ohtani pitching tonight? Is that what you said?
Yes, Shohei.
So maybe he's brilliant tonight, and maybe he's got Lewis's number, but that would only, again, just be one game. But I think he's going to be fine. And if you're a Twins fan, you sure hope he is, because he is, there are other nice players on that team. The Brooks Lee kid looks like I don't think he's that impact kind of a player that Royce Lewis could be, but he looks like an everyday big league ball player that he's a gamer, right? He's a gritty player. The Clemens kid is other than his dad's Raj, I don't know much more about him, but he seems to contribute quite a bit. Anytime I read a story when the Twins do win, it seems like he's had a hand in it.
He's come up with big hits.
Yes, exactly.
Hits for power.
And the Bader kid and the France kid, and I don't know. Maybe they're not playing as well as I thought. I just noticed their names pop up a couple of times. If you remember, they weren't even with the team before the season started. So there's a couple of guys, and Buxton, still relatively young, right? You would still think he's got so they got a nucleus, but I don't know. I don't think the nucleus is as large as the Pohlad pocket protectors think. They think all of these guys, the Larnacks and the Mirandas and everybody's, they see little spurts from these guys and they extrapolate that out to this guy's going to be a quality.
The next one's going to be Walker Jenkins. That's who they're going to be talking about next. Yeah,
that these guys are going to be quality big league players for the next 10 years. Guys with big ops, big wars, big ribbies, big home runs, big average, all of that, and it's not as simple as that. All these guys can get on mini streaks, but you don't get to the unless you're pretty good at what you do. But it's like we talk about Tenby all the time. How many times have you heard me say this? Especially in basketball. Every guy in the NBA was his Howard Pulley's team's leading scorer.
Yeah.
His Sizzle, his travel team, his junior high team, his middle, his Pop Warner team, his high school, college. When you get to you were all leading scorers. So it just changes. So all of these players were great coming up the pipeline. But now when you get there, it's the best players in the world. And not everybody's going to succeed as they did at that lower levels. And some guys do and some don't. More don't than do. And sometimes we get, especially the Pohlad pocket protectors, they get overly excited. If I see the phrase deep and talented attached to the Twins starting staff, bullpen, or everyday lineup ever
or farm system.
Yeah, or farm system, just deep and talented. Really? How deep and talented are they? I'm not so sure. This one says, when the Twins needed a big-time player, they wanted up guys like Butch Husky. Do you remember Butch Husky?
Do you remember that?
Butch Husky. This one says, how many years ago when they acquired Matt Capps, talking about at the deadline, what a disaster that was? Well, I'll tell you what. I did a little research on Matt Capps.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, you know how when you come over from the old country, a lot of times they would shorten names? And they did that in the case of the Capps family.
Yeah.
Their name from the old country was Caps Off Another Loss. And then they just shortened it. That's an oldie but goodie.
I feel like we haven't done any of those recently.
No, we
need to come up with some new one. Maury Amsterdam guy needs to get on it.
He needs to get on that. He or Larry Mandela got one of the two. There was an off-season. This was an off-season trade, not a trade deadline. But don't forget Pablo Lopez when we traded Royce. Well, that was one of those deals. You and I were both not very.
Well, that was in the off-season.
Yeah. But that's what he's saying. He said this was an off-season trade, not a trade deadline. But don't forget Pablo for Royce. And that was good for both teams, though Arise, I think, has played for 2 or 3 other teams now. But that did work out. I mean, at the time, I was, and I think you were on board with me on this. I didn't really like it. He had won the batting title, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like, well, I know pitching and defense. If you pitch and play defense, you give yourself a chance to win the baseball game. And I'm always, and I love pitching, and I love pitching, man. I love 2-1 ball games way better than 10-6 games. But I thought Lopez was quality, but when a batting champ, and it's not like we were flush with hitting, I don't think.
No, especially that kind of hitter.
Yeah,
we were the Bomba squad.
Yes,
we were only trying to get home run hitters.
Exactly. But I think, Lopez has been now.
I would have liked to have acquired Lopez without giving up
Yeah.
Arise. There's other prospects we could have given up.
They might not have wanted to, though. They may have tried and it just didn't work out that way. So I'm not going to.
Yeah, but we didn't just trade Luis Arise because Lopez was available to us. They were efforting to trade Arise from the get-go.
Oh, they were?
Yes.
Why were they?
Because there were multiple rumors regarding Arise even before the Lopez deal was made.
Oh. Well, why was that? Because he was going to
Probably because he was going to cost more money.
Oh.
And
well, if
they
that's
didn't
the
want
case, I'll have to take your word for it because I don't remember that part of it. But, I just thought it was a mistake to get a kid that could hit like that. And you know what? Look, Arise, wherever. Was that a trade with the Rays or the Marlins? Marlins. I don't think the Marlins won a World Series because of it, nor did we because of the trade either. Neither team. And again, you can't just judge a trade by if you win a World Series. I understand that, but I don't think either player made. I guess Lopez made a big enough impact in the year we went to the playoffs. Right? I think he was extremely important to us.
He's been pretty darn good.
So he's been really good. So it has been one that has worked out. But I'm just waiting for training camp. And again,
We'll be there in 2 days.
If the Twins. If while we are immersed in Vikings training camp and breaking down all the X's and O's and watching some kid, during 7-on-7 make a pick six and we start raving about all the talent he has and how he's going to be the next Deion Sanders, if the Twins just quietly put together some winning streaks and get back into this thing and make postseason play, okay, well then you know what? It's the old, get to the Western Conference Finals and get back to me. We'll certainly turn our attentions toward them. But I don't think this series with the Dodgers is the be-all, end-all, but you lose 3 in a row and all the other wild card teams, win over the next series or two. I think the Twins obviously are going to be in deep trouble then. And not just winning the games to keep pace with other wild card teams, but also to show you can beat a real team. Hell, we just lost 2 out of 3 to the worst team in baseball. You could make the argument that the Dodgers, if not the best team, record-wise, I think it's still Detroit. But you could make the case that the Dodgers are the best team in Major League Baseball. And so if you had that much trouble in baseball, it's a funny game, Tenna. But if they had that much trouble with the Rockies, I think they got their hands full.
And the pitching matchups are not in our favor.
No, they're really not. So
we're throwing Festa, Simeon Woods, Richardson. Who's the third one? I forget. I know we don't have Joe Ryan.
No.
I think Paddock is the third.
Yeah, it is Chris Paddock. And I will tell you this, though, Tennessee, and I want you to remember this, and I think you understand this better than anyone. When you put your heart in it. Maybe we should have done a Kenny Ryan.
What if they sweep the Dodgers?
What if they sweep the Dodgers?
Then we might have to become buyers.
What if we get out to a 2-run lead? It's always good to get out to a 2-run lead, but I think we should try to keep this game 0-0 as long as we can. That's what we should do tonight. We'll take a break. I've got another... we're going to shift gears and go back to hoops, Tennessee. I got to ask you a couple of questions because I'm not sure.
About hoops?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not sure I understand what... I understand it, but I'm not sure there's a case for it. We'll talk about that other side of the break. Common Man program on the Fan.